Let me find it. We'll use this one. Donald J. Trump just announced that they are cutting off 8,000 EV charging stations at federal buildings. Now, this isn't the EV infrastructure or anything that we got going on with like Chevy or GM. So this is going through the GSA, which is a government agency also who oversees federal buildings and the fleets. They order all the vehicles, or when you do order something, the General Service Administration is who you go through if you need a new truck. But Donald Trump said he's getting rid of 8,000 EV charging stations and vehicles. So that means all the money that's been spent here is pretty much wasted. Now, the thing is, he wants to cut all of this. In a sweeping policy shift, Donald Trump's administration has just reportedly ordered the shutdown of all electric vehicles charging stations at federal buildings across the United States. The decision effectively flips the switch on hundreds of EV chargers across the country, with approximately 8,000 charging ports managed by the U.S. General Service Administration. The directive also includes a plan to offload recently acquired EVs from the federal fleet. So they just spent money and they're talking about getting rid of these vehicles. Now, one thing we know about vehicles, as soon as you buy them, they depreciate. So we're already losing money. Now, we're supposed to be cutting the budget. So wouldn't you use what you already paid for? Because in the long run, EV vehicles will save the environment, and they will be cheaper to charge an EV vehicle than it is for gas. But that's all with the drill, baby, drill. Even though we already produce the most oil at 2 million barrels a day, he's in bed with the major oil companies. But we'll keep that for a later date. This directive also includes plans to offload recently acquired EVs from the federal fleet. Combined, these moves signal a sharp reversal in the initiatives championed by the previous administration. Now, Rivian, I was going to invest in them, but I'm not in Rivian. Trump's budget cuts threatened Biden's 6.6 Rivian loan for the EV factory, which would have been a good thing. An internal GSA email reportedly viewed the Colorado Public Radio reveals that the agency now deems all GSA-owned charging stations as non-mission critical. As a result, the agency will shut down these chargers, at what point they will be inoperable to all users. This includes both federal workers and federally owned EV, and federal employees could previously charge their own personal vehicle at the same station. Some regional offices have already begun taking chargers offline with a formal announcement expected soon. The GSA is responsible for managing federal assets, including a fleet of approximately 650,000 vehicles. Under Biden's administration, and embarked on a plan to transition to zero-emission vehicles. That included the procurement of over 58,000 EVs and the installation of 25,000 charging ports. It never came anywhere close to achieving those figures, though, and the new directive puts that plan to a swift end. Now, check this out. Getting rid of all the EV vehicles, all of the EV chargers, for one reason and one reason only. A new document undercuts Trump's admin denial about a $400 million Tesla deal. They're getting rid of all the EVs that they're buying from Chevy, Ford, with other companies, because they just cut a $400 million deal with Elon Musk to do what? I know he doesn't sell any gas powered vehicles. Oh, that's right. To buy cyber trucks from Elon Musk, the guy that's overseeing cutting the budget. But meanwhile, he keeps getting new contracts. Crazy, ain't it? And I bet that $400 million deal, I'll put my own Tesla charger stations. You just buy the vehicles. Because a vehicle, those Tesla trucks, they what, 100,000? An EV charging station, maybe 15,000. So I'll take the hit out of my pocket to put up their own charging station if you buy the trucks. I'm telling you, man. How can it be saving money when Trump and Christie do ads uh, thanking him that costs 200 million? Well, that a lot of that comes from their campaign. That's campaign money that they had left over. Plus, you remember, allegedly, Elon Musk put up like 250 million. So that right there is just play money that they got. But here we go. The controversy started in a very Washington way. As a line item in the government spreadsheet buried on the State Department's website, it appeared as if the State Department was taking steps to award Elon Musk Tesla a $400 million government contract to buy armored electric vehicles to securely transport diplomats. $400 million? You know, we got to bring out the calculator. Let's just say they 80,000. 5,000 Cybertrucks? They're going to get rid of the EVs we have, but they're going to buy 5,000 Cybertrucks. To transport diplomats. The move set in motion a lucrative contract to a company controlled by high profile ally of Vice President Trump seemed to be so bold it surprised even longtime observers of norm busting president. When asked about it, the State Department issued a statement saying the purchase is now on hold with no plans of fulfilling the contract, pointing out that talks with Tesla began during the Biden administration. Talks with Tesla were under the Biden administration to tie in with what they're doing with EVs with General Motor, Ford, Rivian. It wasn't to purchase vehicles. That's not what that talk was. I actually did an article back in July where I was talking about Elon was mad that we're trying to make sure that the big three are federally funded first: General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler. That's more important to us than an independent company like Tesla. So that's why those three got that budget to start going into EV. They got the incentive to start that. There was never talks of, hey, we're about to buy $400 million worth of vehicles from Elon Musk. That's never happened. There's only been talk about him being mad at them for not shooting him any bail, because we know that Elon Musk is like a Section 8, no disrespect to the people on Section 8, but Elon Musk, his whole life is tethered to the government assistant. That's how he's surviving. The government, if they're not paying him out these large contracts, he's not making any money. We knew about the Doge thing. We knew he took his Tesla stock, cashed out, and put that in Bitcoin, drove that all the way up so he could make a large profit. That's how he became one of the most richest, not off of his Tesla stocks and everything else that he has going on. It's with the money that he's making through crypto and all these contracts that are keeping him afloat. Because when you use somebody else's money, guess what? You get to keep your money. But this is just a bigger scale. You know what I mean? And I've been following this for a while. All right. So they said talks with Tesla began during the Biden administration, but they're not going to go in detail. They're just going to say it started up under Biden. But NPR has obtained a State Department document detailing that Biden's State Department planned to spend just $483,000 in 2025 fiscal year on buying electric vehicles and $3 million for supporting equipment like charging stations. What I just tell you, it wasn't that much. And what did I say? He'll shell out the charging stations for a $400 million contract. We were just going to 483,000. That's maybe what, like 5, 6 vehicles, 7 vehicles, maybe. See? Oh yeah, Elon's gonna be live streaming the Fort Knox. If I'm on, Depending on what time it is, I might live stream it too. So I do want to see what Fort Knox looks like. I've seen it like on YouTube documentaries, and I think the PBC, not the PBC, PBS did one. But yeah, you see this? And so they said they were going to spend $483,000 fiscal year 2025 on buying electric vehicles and $3 million for supporting equipment like charging stations. It represented less than 1% of the hundreds of millions of dollars likely destined for Tesla vehicles after Trump administration quietly revised the State Department procurement document. Now, also with the budget that's going to get passed, it has to go through Hakeem Jeffries. We only need 3 people in the House to flip that budget, because if you didn't know, they're trying to cut $880 billion worth of Medicare and give that $880 billion cut, give it to the top 1% in tax breaks. So that's another thing we might talk about tonight. I don't know. We'll follow it. Nah, they ain't gonna steal the gold, but they just gonna go in there and they want to quote unquote see if the gold's actually in there. The vast discrepancy in the numbers raises the question: was it an error or a deliberate action? A former Biden White House official familiar with the State Department's plans told NPR the steps taken to advance $400 million worth of government business to Tesla appear to be intentional. I don't think this is a clerical error. It was likely someone who is new in the State Department who decided, okay, we're going to do this with Tesla, said the former official, who was not authorized to speak about the matter. Excuse me. The person said the State Department and Tesla had agreed during the Biden administration to conduct research about armoring electric vehicles, but no money has been set aside to purchase armored Teslas for the State Department. A total budget of $483,000 had been approved to buy light-duty EVs as possible State Department vehicles. That plan was moving forward as recently as November 2024. The White House and Musk did not return multiple requests for comment. Of course they not. As Trump once said, anyone that ain't got nothing to hide, they testify. Elon Musk still ain't testified on behalf of Doge. That's why we waiting on that judge, because there's been yeah, conflicting conversations out there. But anyway, let's continue on with this $400 million scam that they're trying to run on us. In a statement to NPR on Monday, a State Department spokesperson said the $400 million figure was an estimate, pointing out that it was in the early stages and was not a full contract, but rather a proposal strictly to gather information. Yeah, well, when it's a contract, it's going to be like, if this was an estimate, why'd you estimate over? You should have said, man, we'll do 200 million. A rough estimate is 100 million, maybe 10 million. But 400 million is just an estimate, and you should just slide that through, but you defer the comment. The State Department spokesperson added the Department of State had no intention to move forward with the solicitation. In a February 13 post on X, social media platform, Musk, who is also the top White House official, said, I'm pretty sure Tesla isn't getting 400 million. He mentioned to me, at least. After the original procurement document attracted widespread attention, NPR reported that Trump administration appeared to have quietly edited the document, changing the phrase armored Tesla to the more generic armored electric vehicles. They didn't want it to say Tesla in there, so you would just look over it. Without explanation, eventually the item vanished from the State Department procurement document. So they put it on there. 400 million. They got called out. Next step, we don't know nothing about that. That was just an estimate. That ain't work. Next step, take Tesla off of there, put armored EV. That ain't work. Now it's gone. Now, miraculously, it's just, hey, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Armored Tesla production units, armored electric vehicles. So this is the change. Look, armored sedan, armored. Damn, who getting the armored BMW X5, X7 is what I want to know. Who getting the armored BMW X5, X7? It says the document claims it was originally published in December at the end of then President Joe Biden's term, but it does not appear in the Internet Archive for that month. No, this happened in January. Once he took office, this happened in January. It wasn't under Biden, because if this was up under Biden, they would have went through it with a fine-tooth comb and they would have found this. The $400 million item in the procurement document caused a stir. Since then, Trump officials have not answered, while the State Department appeared to be taking steps to pursue an acquisition of electric vehicles from Tesla, with the company's stainless steel Cybertruck likely being the most suitable option for an armored vehicle. The proposed purchase amount would likely exceed what the entire federal government would spend on electric vehicles in 2025. So right there, they're telling us $400 million would have been more than what Joe Biden spent on EVs. Now imagine if Biden, Obama was to go and give somebody that they're close friends with, someone that they ran their campaign with, $400 million to buy their products. You would be hearing them calling them traitors, off with their heads. We heard them yelling, hang Mike Pence. Do you know what they would have done if this was anybody else? The prospect of such a purchase also puzzles security professionals who work at the State Department. I can't imagine why the government would ever put dignitaries in a Cybertruck, Jim McGuffrey, an armored expert, said, who does work with the State Department. Compared to other armored car companies out there, it just wouldn't make any sense, because obviously we've seen them throw a baseball at the Cybertruck and it damn near broke the window. But we'll see. So that's off the books. But before we leave here, this is how other countries are fighting back, in which we're going to need people to step up. UK denies. So over in the UK, one of my favorite places, I was just there 2 weeks ago. Oh my goodness, come on, man. They think it's the Italian job. Shit, it ain't an Italian job. This right here is an American failure. All right. Tesla Cybertruck banned and seized by police in the UK. The iconic Cybertruck finally launched in the US in 2019 after sizable delays, and after since generated a cult following. The controversy, supposedly bulletproof vehicle with the radical edgy design, however, has generated intense debate outside of America. Jeez Louise, come on, man. Especially in the UK, when British police pulled over and seized a Tesla Cybertruck near Manchester last month. Come on, what the heck is going on here? Elon, get off my internet, man. A survey? Man, ain't nobody trying to take no survey. How old am I? 18 to 24. Prefer not to disclose. Access to exclusive content. How much assets are owned? Under 25,000. Stocks and bonds? Under 25,000. I don't even know what this says, but never. Hey man, how do I get this off of here? Okay, thanks. Very satisfying. Create a type form. What the fuck, man? All right, here we go. Okay, so they seized the Cybertruck in the UK. Now you got to remember, all these countries have different regulations when it comes to their vehicles. Especially in the UK, when British police pulled over and seized a Tesla Cybertruck near Manchester last month, after the driver did not possess the all-important certificate of conformity. It shone light on the vehicle's serious safety shortcomings. Now, what they're saying is the Cybertruck, since it weighs so much, and the way the angles are in the vehicles, in the UK, your vehicle's got to be more rounded, because if you get hit by a Tesla truck, a cyber truck, it's like getting hit by a train. And also with the weight of this vehicle, you basically got to have a CDL. They would consider this the same as like a U-Haul. So that's why they're banning these over there. You got to have a higher class driver's license to actually have this in the UK. And also it's a safety hazard because this shit's really just a box. So getting hit by something at this weight and how fast these can drive, the UK say, oh no, we good. We don't want that shit over here. The bottom line is the vehicle is actually banned in the UK, which means it cannot be legally driven on public roads and does not meet the country's safety standards in many ways. Tesla's high safety score means nothing in the UK. The news is controversial. However, the Tesla truck has only recently earned a 5-star rating from America's Traffic Authority, which we need to look at that because they probably got some of their loyalists in there. The highest score available. In the frontal barrier test, where a vehicle is slammed into a flat, rigid wall at 35 miles per hour to simulate a head-on collision between two similar-sized vehicles, the Cybertruck earned a 5-star score for the driver and 4-star rating for the front passenger. It also passed the side impact and side pole intrusion test with flying colors. And finally, the rollover test, the Tesla earned a 4-star rating. Let's get into why I didn't get down here. But there are 5 safety reasons, issues, according to the UK. All that means nothing in the UK. Brits see things very differently. Let's get into it. The Cybertruck size and weight. The issue, firstly, the Tesla truck tips the scales at a whopping 6,800 pounds, which means it's too heavy for most UK motorists to legally operate in normal town situation. The vehicle size is 2.2 meters wide, prohibitively two, as most town countries are just 3 meters wide. The truck's sharp edges. The sharp edges make the car a pedestrian hazard. So if you were to accidentally hit a pedestrian, you might potentially cut them in half. One look at the Tesla in the UK accident, and insurance assessors start having kittens. But the edges are actually one main reason why the car is banned. In fact, the court directive permitting Tesla from bringing a Cybertruck to the UK and the EU, for that matter, the law bans the sale of passenger vehicles that exhibit sharp external projections. So basically, the UK said, "Nah, that shit ain't safe." China at one point put a, you see, Elon don't do none of that with China. China already, what China's doing with their EVs, China's actually going crazy because China's giving like Sweden, Denmark, they're shipping them EVs by the boatload, get them over there. But they actually blocked Tesla from selling EVs in China until they can get enough of the market share to where their EVs will be the most sold over in China, which is what Biden was trying to do here in the States. Instead of having an independent like Tesla, our big three, General Motors, Ford, and Chrysler, would be leading the pack in EVs, which is good for us because we know anytime the plants go on strike, that's bad for America. So that's why we were putting the money into General Motors, Ford's pocket. Also, you got the big three, the automakers, then you got the airlines, because we have so many employees in America that any of those going on strikes or potentially going bankrupt, it will definitely put a dent in our economy. So that's why we get so much invested into them. I know people are, where we should do, because we got to. We just got to. A majority of our Americans, they work with the federal government, the big three automakers, and the big three airlines, American, Delta, and United. So that's why that happens. But that right there is pretty much what's going on with the EVs. We're gonna lighten it up a little bit. We're gonna lighten it up a little bit. Unless y'all got something on the EVs. You know, I never thought all this stuff would be this interesting. I mean, I always listened to it and did research, but I don't know, man. I like the investigative part of this, finding stuff and then remember an article or something that happened. And then like, oh shucks, let me go back and look at that again, man. I don't know why, man. Tesla car advertisement in London with a Yahtzee reference goes viral. Let me see.